Applying Quantitative Research Methods Within the Field of Criminal Justice, SJackson. Overview of Research Approaches. Quantitative. Comparisons or correlations of population attributes. Generalizations to population. Numerical summaries. Breadth. Large samples. Prescribed process to establish validity and reliability. Quantitative approaches traditionally utilize large samples to test numerical data by comparing or finding correlations among small attributes to generalize the findings to the population. To study the effectiveness of an implementation's components on the mitigation of juvenile delinquency, an attitudinal survey could be utilized to compare youth who have been categorized as juvenile delinquents based on their behaviors and/or documented criminal offenses in comparison to those who have not. Conducting research. Though the steps may vary, the most basic research conduction steps include identification of the problem, juvenile delinquency rates within the state of Georgia, posing a research question, how effective are the juvenile delinquency mitigation programs within the state of Georgia, reviewing prior literature, reviewing studies that have been conducted previously related to juvenile delinquency, more specifically juvenile delinquency rates in the state of Georgia, constructing a hypothesis. For example, juvenile delinquency mitigation programs in Georgia significantly reduce recidivism rates amongst youth offenders. Select a research design and methodology. For the topic of juvenile delinquency, a quasi-experimental design was more appropriate, and the methodology selected was to conduct interviews and issue surveys to juveniles, juvenile delinquents, and non-juvenile delinquents, their families, as well as program administrators. Test the hypothesis. You should be informed by prior research and draw a conclusion. Utilize the data acquired to answer the original research question developed. Research questions and hypotheses. Research questions. Descriptive, relational, causal. The research question is the basis for posing a hypothesis, a predicted answer to the research question. Research questions can be descriptive, describes what currently exists, relational, describes the relationship between two or more variables, or causal, allows research to make an inference. The hypothesis is an operational definition of the predicted answer to the research question posed and must align with the measurement method or tool and must be testable. Example hypothesis H1. Juvenile delinquency mitigation programs in Georgia significantly reduce recidivism rates amongst youth offenders. H2. Juvenile delinquency mitigation strategies that incorporate family involvement are more effective in reducing delinquent behaviors compared to those that do not. H3. Programs focusing on mental health and substance abuse counseling are more effective in reducing delinquency rates amongst adolescents with co-occurring delinquency. The null hypothesis. The null and alternative hypotheses utilize parallel sentence structures. They both incorporate the measure instrument that will be used, the state of Georgia juvenile delinquency programs / implementations, which will be the variable. Null hypothesis. There will be no significant difference in juvenile delinquency behaviors amongst youth who participate in state-operated programs versus those who do not. Research or alternative hypothesis H1. There will be significant differences in juvenile delinquency behaviors amongst youth who participate in state-operated programs versus those who do not. Research design. Create. Create a situation in which the hypothesis can be tested and the research questions can be answered. Isolate. Isolate variables. Control. Control for intervening variables. The researcher must select a design in which the hypothesis or hypotheses can be tested and the research question or questions are answered. Ideally, the study variables must be able to be isolated in order to present with certainty the relationships that are being tested. Quasi-experimental design. Existing groups. No random assignment. May use only one group. Quasi-experimental designs do not randomly assign subjects to groups. A control and comparison group is still present, though a control group is not required, and a single group may be pre- and post-tested, or in this case, pre- and post-surveyed and/or interviewed, making it within subject's design. Surveys are utilized to capture abstract variables such as attitudes, beliefs, and feelings. They are instruments that collect verifiable information from the sample population, often resulting in numerical data. Self-reported information on hand to measure variables results in numerical data. Sample survey items may include: how confident are you that you can utilize the information provided within the program? This would be a scale response. Which strategy do you feel will be more beneficial to you going forward? This may provide a multiple choice response option. Types of quantitative validity include the following: face validity. Does the test appear at face value to measure what is created to be measured? Content validity includes item and sampling validity, ensuring that both the test items are only for the subject being addressed and that the range of topics are appropriate for the subject being studied. Concurrent validity: does the new test correlate with an older, established one that includes the same measures? Predictive validity: does the test correlate to another measure? And construct or theme validity: does the testing measure the construct as intended? They are difficult to establish when the constructs are abstract. Probability sampling or random sampling entails the following: randomly selected samples. Anyone and everyone within the population has an equal opportunity to be chosen for the study or research to participate in. Is utilized when sampling bias should be mitigated. Creates a more accurate sample, although locating appropriate respondents is difficult, and it is useful amongst diverse populations. Non-probability sampling or non-random sampling entails the following: sample selection is judgment and research based at the researcher's discretion. Not everyone within the population will have an equal opportunity to be selected for the research or study. Sampling bias is not a consideration. It is useful amongst populations who have similar traits. Sampling does not accurately represent the population, and locating respondents can be done easily. Data types: nominal data, categorized. There is no number value that is indicative of quantity and can only be counted. The numbers serve as labels. For example, the number 1 may be utilized to represent juvenile delinquent youth, and the number 2 may be utilized to represent non-juvenile delinquent youth. Ordinal or rankings. There is no indication of quantity and can be both counted and ranked. For example, a satisfaction survey may be utilized for the youth to rank their experience or rank the services they received throughout the program and or while participating in the implementation. Interval or scale: there are equal distances between two values, but there is no natural zero. They can be added and subtracted, but not divided nor multiplied. And ratio, which utilizes real numbers and measurements. It is the same as interval, however, ratios, means, and averages, etc., are possible, and zero has a meaning. Examples include height and weight. Study validity. Establishing validity allows the findings to be transferable. The process components of validating the study include external generalization. Can the conclusions of the study or research be applied to other populations? Construct. Were the variables related to the actual concepts that you desired to measure? Internal. Evidence is present that the study or research methods and procedures were directly related to the outcomes. And conclusion, also known as statistical. The conclusions drawn were reasonable. Conclusion. Follow the outlined research method. Review the research studies conducted on your topic. Conduct a literature review. Become knowledgeable of the varying research designs and techniques. Research appropriate methodologies. To ensure that your research meets all of the necessary criteria and entails all the pertinent components, it is important to follow the research method that is specific to your chosen research type. Additionally, consider the strengths and weaknesses of previously conducted studies, including those associated with data collection, methodologies, and techniques utilized. Do not limit yourself. Broadly explore scholarly literature and ensure that study design and methods are in alignment with the issue, research question, purpose, and any other data or information you hope to uncover and present pertaining to your topic.